Hello YouTube, Dame_23 here. Welcome to not just another episode 100 of the Paris 13 Atletico save, where we look to do it better than PSG. And in today's episode, we're going to go through not just a trip down memory lane, so to say. We're going to go through and just talk about a few players that have made the save as well. We're not going to do some big, massive special. We're going to recap the Media Dream 11, really highlight how we go, and Dim wants me to raise the mouse as we are live on stream for getting to the 100. So we're tunned up in this save as well. There's the ton celebration as well. The links are down below if you ever want to come watch it live. This save has frustrated me. I will say it again, FM23 has been one of the worst FMs I've ever played. But in saying that, there's still been some enjoyable moments and some great players to talk about. And that's what you play FM for. It's the storyline of some of the players that you have come to manage, not just everything else behind it. Yes, the gameplay would be nice as well. In terms of the season, you guys haven't missed much. I've actually had to win in a penalty shootout against AJ Aurier 3 days later. A tied Paris 13 Atletico side, even though having an XG of 2.9, only could score one goal against AJ Aurier, but we did get through in the cup in a penalty shootout, mainly thanks to Maxine and Kim saving 2 in the shootout as well. But that's not what we're here for. We're here just to really highlight how far we've come. For people that really remember the opening couple of episodes, our history, right, and our, overall history is there on screen. The game, as FC Goblins, the game starts here. There you go. First we did, they got promoted into the national team. It starts here. Finished third, then a second, and then one man really rose us into the top flight. And then we've had players that have come through ever since. It's been fantastic. In terms of honours there as well, we are now got some people in the honour board. French National B and 2019 as FC Goblins. 3 times Trophy de Champions runners-up because PSG keep FMing us. French National, we did finish runner-up. We did lose the title on the final day to win that competition. We did win League 2. It was the first title or cup we've ever won. We have finished runner-up in the UEFA Conference League our first year in Europe. For people that remember that, against Spurs, we got beat in the final. In the French Cup, we did win in 2030 and 2031. I thought we won it 3 years in a row, but maybe not. We finished third in the last 2029 and 2030, and then runner-up in 2031 and 2032. So the symmetry would be for us to now win the league in 2033 and 2034. Fingers are crossed that is definitely going to be the case. In terms of other things as well, you might want to go look at the club's records here. In the modern day, there is all the records that you have on screen. There is a couple of players that we will definitely look to talk about. Obviously, highest finish is League 2. Lowest finish in the club's actual history being called Paris 13 Atletico is a lowly 5th in the National 3rd Division. Most points in the season was last year with 87. We did not win the league, or 2 years ago we did not win the league. Apologies. Fewest points in the season, we weren't part of that. Most wins in the league season, 27 in the season where we did finish second and did not win the league. Fewest wins in the season, weren't part of that. Most defeats in a season, we were part of that in the season when we nearly got relegated in League 2 thanks to a man called Collie that kept us up. We'll talk about him in a second as well. Fewest league defeats in a season was actually them in real life. The year they got promoted and won to get into the National League was only one. Hopefully we eclipse that and having a full year where we don't lose a game at all in France. That would be great. Most league draws in the season was actually in my first year, where we finished third in the season with 11. Most goals in the season was actually last year with 99. Fewest league goals was not from me. In terms of highest attendance, we did have the highest attendance against PSG in the league. Highest gate receipts was actually for a game versus Copenhagen, where we got the highest average attendance at the moment as well. Lowest attendance was actually in the save as well. We only had 237 people rock up to watch us play Red Star in a game against our now affiliates. Biggest win was an 8-0 win. We did that in the save. Biggest defeat was actually a loss to Red Star on the day that, on the basically year before we lost in the French ninth round to the lowest attendance. Highest scoring match was a 6-3 win in 2027, and the highest scoring league match is the same as well. Our highest transfer fade was paid for Tariq this season to be the highest player in, and the biggest we received is Isaias, 35 mil, and we're about to get an extra 17 for that as well. I'm actually going to get on the sequence ones because there's players that I want to speak about in here as well, because that's where we're going to go with this episode. Talk about some of the players, of course, as well. Most matches run in a row was 10 last year. Most matches without losing was 14, which was the year before. Most losses in a row was actually back in the League 2 season where we lost 6 in a row. 7 was the carryover effect without winning. Most matches without scoring was 4. Actually, in 2030, we kept a whole heap of clean sheets but drew 0-0. Most matches without conceding was actually in a run in 2029 to 2030 before we went without scoring, where we didn't concede in 5. Let's talk about players. Most overall goals in a player league season, Mokoku 2 years ago in 52, and he's set to eclipse it. Most league goals by a player is El Hadji Collie at the minute with 115. Let's just have a look at Mokoku because he is very close for us here. If you go to profile, he's on 107. It's behind my camera. If I go into the webcam and turn it off, you can see here, maybe the border's in the way. Maybe I turn the border off. There we go. 107 in 95 appearances in total. I do put the Mickey on him here in saying this. He might end up leaving. Who knows? We might get 200 mil and have to take it. He is going to beat Collie, who we're going to speak about in a second as well. Most appearances by a league player is Dosu, and that's ever going to continue because we're going to keep him. Most league goals in the season is 35. Highest average ratings, Mokoku. Youngest ever player, Frederic Bertrand, a name people remember. Came through our academy, was our first 5-star player, never developed, sold him off to Panathinaikos. He's actually just moved on a free to the Super League Un in Greece. So there you go. Fastest ever goal was Collier against Lazio in a YouTube game in the semi-final of the Conference League. So big time for Collier to do that. Most goals by a player in a match was actually Robin Knockhart, who retired at the age of 22 back in the 3rd division, where he scored 4 in a match. Even Mokoku hasn't done that. Most goals by a league player in a match is actually 4 by Bakayoko in a 5-0 win. Most assists by a league season is Bakayoko last year. Most clean sheets by a player in a season total was Kim last year when he set the league record 2 years ago, for 21 clean sheets in a row. Important to have a look at Kim. He's been fantastic. And look, 11 clean sheets. I think he's on track to beat last year, obviously, but beat the 21 here as well, which is huge, even though he might concede a few extra goals because PSG did slap us. Most player of the matches in the season was Mokoku 2 years ago. Youngest goal scorer was Bertrand yet again, as mentioned. And oldest goal scorer, Ferland Mendy against Bohemians in a long-range effort a couple years ago. There is your players there in the modern day and age. Managers, just us. We've been in charge for 10 years, 209 days, which has been pretty good with a 62% win percentage, 297 games won, 72 draws and 108 losses. There we go. Landmarks as well. People may want to pause on that, and there we go. Talking about the facilities, they started at the rock bottom. So as you can see, facility upgrade, facility upgrade, facility upgrade. New chairperson, same chairman's been in charge with the finances as well. There we go. People may look at players here as well, and you might go and see what sort of players are wherever. But yeah, in terms of appearances, Kim's probably leads the list there as well. We'll have a look at best ever 11. Competitions is there, overviews there. You can see the rise up. It's been momentous. It's been fantastic. Let's get into talking about the finances here quickly as well, so the club you can see the progression. Overall balance has progressed since 2028. It's the furthest we can look back. Peaking at 83, currently at our lowest point in the save, apart from when we were in the 3rd division in a semi-professional club. There we are, projection-wise for the foreseeable future is bleak, but hopefully we can turn that around in the foreseeable future as well. Maybe the club will get bought. But what you're all here for, the best ever 11, where we take to talk about some of the players that we may no longer have and a few of the players that we might need to speak about as well, and if I agree or disagree. Firstly, they want me to play the old school 4-2-1-3. I would definitely say we're playing the normal 4-3-3 here, but there we go. Firstly, in terms of caps, the person who has the most caps on this list is a man called Collie and Dosu, who are tied, which is quite symmetric, which I love, because both have a big part in my save, and arguably both get in the top 2. We'll get in 3 of the top 2 spots of being the top 3 players that I've had at the football club. Let's go through the team, going from the order of let's go from the bench upwards. Didier Desampres is here, but he's more here for his real-life exploits, what he does in real life for them. How Kim doesn't make this list is a bit of a joke. Schindler we'll talk about in a bit. Zeno did play a lot of games for us. Where's he at the minute? He's still at Sassuolo after we sold him. Yes, he is. Played 17 games in Serie A this year. Hector Fort we did sell. He's currently still there at Troyes. We did sell him to Fenerbahce, who then sold him back to the French League. So there is Hector Fort. Issa Indoor is currently out there at Besiktas still after we sold him. Player that spent a lot of time for us, helping us consolidate. Ravella is still in our first 11. Interesting that he's not here. Diarra, who retired at 33, wanted to be a first-team player at 33. We told him, no, mate, you're not going to be. I was happy to keep him as a bench player. Collie we're going to leave to last because, spoiler alert, he's my favourite player of the save still, even though we haven't used him in ages. If I had to rank it, I think it's Dosu, I then think it's Mokoku, and then I think Collie still takes the cake for what he's done for the football club. But let's talk about Lucas Schindler. He's no longer at Leeds. He's now at Monaco as the backup keeper. We brought him in from Bayern Munich for 37k. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen. 37k was a first-choice keeper. And the only reason we sold him is we could buy Kim in for the same price. He was younger with better potential. And it meant we got his wage off the bill at a time when the wage was quite hefty for us as well. He went to Leeds. He played 12 games, 13 conceded. Played another 14 games there as well for Leeds before only becoming the backup and being sold for 9 mil to Monaco, where he's yet to play. Look, great to see Lucas Schindler. Out of all the number ones, we'll compare him to a man that is called Kim. Schindler still holds his own, but we're very glad that we signed this guy. If I had to pick a number one, as much as we love the story of Schindler and buying him from Bayern Munich for 37k, think Kim and the signing for 5.5 and what he's produced and how he's developed and how well he is of a footballer that is a leading player for this level. We've still got potential to grow. I think we've got a very big winner there. Hector Inguez makes the 11. Obviously, a great player, very elite. He's fantastic. We love him, and there he is there. We don't need to speak about him too much. Karamoko makes the list. He wouldn't make my list at centre-back, but was a good player. Pablo Gozzi, for people that remember. We sold him to Sassuolo as well. He's still there. So Sassuolo have two guys at the back that we used to have. But yeah, we bought him up at 300k. He was a player that helped us get into League One and consolidate in League One, so he did well. Joe Lucas, for people that remember, is now a coach. We let him go on a free because he was complaining about moving home back to Portugal. Played a lot of minutes at left back. Did play centre mid and scored some goals at centre mid, even though he wasn't natural there. Masawema, another one as well. He's still as a coach, but not here at the football club. Ended up selling him for 90k, which was enough there. Played a lot of games. He's a real-life player for them in real life. Good to see him still in the 11. With Canner alongside, who, look, this guy has been pretty good for us, averaging over a 7. Since playing him as a deep line playmaker, he's been fantastic. And one of my other favourite players, if there was 4 I could pick from, Melbourne gets in the 4. He's world-class at what he does. We tooted him as a man that could be worth 100 million when we signed him. He won't be worth 100 million, but for 6 million we got a steal. Nothing below a 7 in League One. He's a guy that consistently pops up with goals and assists. No matter when you watch him play, he is silky smooth. It's only because Luis Fernando is that good that he's out the team. When you have a look at him, he's fantastic. It's Melbourne. It's good to see him there on the list. Bakayoko on the right with Dosu on the left. They have played together either wing. He's fantastic, Bakayoko. He is just a guy that keeps doing the business. Dosu as well is, when he comes back from international duty there, will surpass Collie and become the highest capped player at the football club, period. No matter league and cup appearances, he will become that and is our highest league performer as well. And was the one that set the payway from the Generation Foot lads that came through. We sold a Papa Diang, sold a couple other like Issa Indoor, but we did pick a lot of Senegalese talent. He's the one that stayed here. He has no intention of leaving. We're part of his favoured personnel. He loves the football club, if you have a look at the information here as well. With that being said, I think he's forever going to be one of our best bench players that we ever have, and sit here and hopefully win him a Champions League. And lucky last, we have to speak about him. It's Mokoku. He's been outrageous. 6.5 mil. I've said this numerous times, but Dortmund never, ever started him, ever. He started something like a handful of like 10 games for the Dortmund first team. Every one of these, basically off the bench. 6.5 mil because he was that frustrated. Dortmund said yes. Since then, 107 goals in the league, without counting cup appearances, etc. Second year scored 35 and 32, 31 and 30. This is more of an Mbappe sort of year where he's got 27 and 19. He has been superb. We love Mokoku. But lucky last, everybody's wondering how has Collie gone since we've sold him. He still looks decent, still got the pace. If I knew I was going to sell Beto this quickly, I would have just kept Collie. He is, though, unfortunately. Maybe we should cap him for France, being cap France manager. Maybe we should. We should definitely give him a scout report as well. As you can see here, comparing him to, we even compare him to Elijah Penajovic, who's our backup striker. You can see Elijah is just as good as him and is 20, so we're in safe hands moving forward. But Collie, we have to speak about. Without this guy, we would have got relegated from League 2, and we don't know where the save would be right now. We definitely would not have stayed up in League 1. In years where he had no quality around him, coming from Gold FC, who are a non-professional club, 16 and 29 to keep us up, 30 and 32 to win us the league title, 22 and 32 to keep us up, 10 and 29, 16 and 32, 17 and 27 in the year. That was superb. And in his last year for us, 23 and 4 when Moukoko really took over his role. Sold him on to Anderlecht for 11 mil. He's played 33 games, 23 off the bench, which is a nice number. It's our number. And he's played 13 off the bench this year as well. Is wanted at the minute by Besiktas to go and link up with Issa Ndour, who used to be his winger partner as well. It's El Hadji Collie. He is our player of the save still after 100 episodes. By the time this ends, I do give some people in our starting 11 potential to beat them. Luis Fernando, worth a mention. I think he's going to be world class and I think he's going to be there. Maxime Chevalier hasn't been here long enough, but he's fantastic as a wonder kid, and hopefully, fingers crossed, he will become that wonder kid extraordinaire. We've capped him for France. Pickett and Tariq definitely could deserve in there as well. Inguez and Cicelo as well. And there we are. If I had to pick my best ever 11, it's probably that. But with that being said, Ravello out for Melbourne. And I think if there was a world where I could, Moukoko to the left and Collie up top, or Moukoko up top and Collie on the left, if I had to pick my best ever 11 here at Paris 13 Atletico. With that being said, is there a player that you missed that I used to have, or is there a player that you think that deserves to be in the Media Dream 11, even though they maybe been here a short time? Is there a player that you wish we kept on this list and did not sell? For me, that's probably Collie, but he had to go considering where we were in the save. Is there a player we should bring back? It's been 100 episodes. There's been some blood. There's been some sweat. And there's definitely been some tears. There's definitely been a lot of rage. There's been a lot of good moments too. And with that being said, I'll see you for episode 101, where we look to finally in season 11 be better than PSG, win the league, see out this gap of 4 points that we have to PSG, and hopefully Monaco drop off completely, and maybe, just maybe, dream of making it to the quarterfinal round or more in the Champions League. Till next time, thank you, goodbye. It's been 100 episodes, and there will be many more to come, because PSG had a mighty juggernaut, but we're finally chipping away, and this year could maybe be the year where after getting to triple digits, it's the year we win the title and topple PSG.